hear what they were saying with this interaction, but let's have some fun here. Jordan, what do you think they were saying to each other?
Yeah, you look good, man. Hey, did you get that text I sent you? No, I didn't see it, man. Oh, I changed my number. Oh, that's why. You know, it just, come on, it's kumbaya. Yeah.
What do you
At
think?
this point, who cares, right? They didn't have a great relationship. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be the best of friends, but they have history together. You can have a laugh and move on.
Man, it's like being friends until you become roommates. We better friends if we don't live together.
Yeah, great point.
That's probably what happened. You remember, I don't know if y'all remember the call when AJ got traded to Philly. It was him and Jalen Hurts on the phone looking like it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not the case. You get a dude in the building. I got family members. I got 3-day threshold. We have the best time, but you got to go home.
That's it.
After that, because it's going to start weighing on you. That, like the things you do, the way you live, and all that start weighing on me. So for 72 hours, we are the best. We look like the closest knit family ever. And I think some of this, too, is I know AJ and I know Jalen well, and both of these guys are very mature young men.
Yeah.
And they understand, like, you know what, bro? We can put whatever to bed and we can move forward. But I think this is more about living together. Probably not.
Hey.
Get you a house down the street. We'll be straight forever.
To that point, I regrettably back in the day, I found a roommate on Craigslist. The first house I bought, I'm like, shoot, let's just find a roommate. Hindsight, terrible idea, but it ended up good. He was one of the best roommates ever. We didn't have a ton in common. We functioned in the same house together. My best friend who lived with me, we fought all the time.
The problem is when you find out your wife like that or your husband. That's when it
That's why you got to cohabitate before you get married.
Yeah.
Myron, what do you think they're saying to each other?
They're talking about the weather, traffic.
Yep.
You still go to the same barbershop you go to. All the things you say to someone when you know you're not going to talk to them again for a long time. Right? Nothing consequential, nothing of significance. They're just making small talk because they know the camera's on them. And they're just saying, hey, man, you good? I'm good. Yeah, but they're not going to talk beyond this. And I think everybody understands that.
Yeah, Swagoo, I'm with you. This was them trying to get the media to stop talking about their relationship because we have photo evidence now that they're good. I don't think that they hate each other anymore. I don't think they ever hated each other. I think it was workplace disagreements, and that happens. Sometimes we'll see people we worked with 5 years ago, a big hug on the street, and you go, hey, I'm actually really mad. They wrote with this article that I wanted to write, and all of a sudden you're going, oh, it's all good now. Yeah. That's the kind of thing now that they're going through, and so I think it's just to get the media off their back that they're saying, hey, they'll get over this. They'll have a beer in 10 years. It'll be fine.
Sometimes, we have to allow guys to go through their process.
Yeah.
They might have hated each other guts and then came around. I get it that the media is there and AJ was asked those questions. I just don't know those two to be contrived like that. Like, hey, man, let's meet so the media stop talking about this. AJ a real one. Jalen a real one. If they ain't fooling with each other, they not going to do that so the camera stop asking. I just know them well enough to know that they'll just sit up there and be like, we straight. We talk, but again, I think that was both of them recognizing, like, dog, we solid with each other. Like, we don't need to have this narrative going on because it's not real beef between us. I think that's what it was about. Maybe I know that's what it was about.
We'd be making a much bigger deal about this if that moment was not, if it didn't happen, if it wasn't captured by the cameras there at joint practices on Thursday.
Philadelphia, what's at stake for Jalen Hurts' future this season?
I think a lot, considering he was Super Bowl MVP a year and a half ago. I go back to that story we had on ESPN.com back in April, which really delineated a lot of the internal concerns that the Eagles have had about Jalen Hurts and his role in their offensive struggles the last couple of years. So if you fast forward and he doesn't, what, Swagoo? I mean, I'm just saying, that's the call's coming from inside the house.
I'm mad at you, Grosh.
Why did I do?
I think he's over there.
Drop in.
Well, I've heard the banter this summer, and you know what pisses me off, man, is we kind of undermine the fact that this dude has never had a coordinator.
I get it.
Consecutive years. I'm saying
it's not fair.
Just know that it's not directed towards you.
I understand.
But my point is, a Super Bowl MVP went to a Super Bowl and probably would have been the MVP of that one if they would have won the game. And we having conversations about if he can be the quarterback for a franchise that has consistently won games. You could be the Raiders.
But
Philly, you could be the Raiders.
How did he get the job?
With Carson Wentz going down.
When they decided to move on from Carson Wentz.
Graz, I know that, but Carson Wentz did not win a Super Bowl and be an MVP, and he didn't go to another one.
The first year they won the Super Bowl, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate and helped get them there,
Graz,
right?
And
they still move on a year and a half later.
I understand that, and I know this is Philly's MO. They will move on from you. I'm not talking about Philly. I'm talking about the conversation revolving around Jalen Hurts.
I'm with you. I'm just trying to forecast what might happen, not what should happen.
Yeah.
And to Swagoo's
on the negative side again, I see.
But look, to Swagoo's point, if we're the Philadelphia Eagles, look, we may like Tanner McKee, but if we're going to move on from Jalen Hurts, like he has produced, as we said, back-to-back Super Bowls. It is a long time coming till you find another quarterback that can do that. So, again, when you're evaluating moving on from a player, the two questions you always have to ask is, who are we going to get and how much is that player going to cost? So Jalen Hurts may not be perfect, but it's worked there. So, now, the fact they haven't done an extension recently.
Yeah, he's got some time left on his deal, but, it's also an outdated extension, the one he signed. The point I was going to make before Swagoo got upset with me was
I'm not upset.
This is a player who has shown an ability to, like, hey, Jalen, here's what we want you to work on this offseason or this coming season, and he's been able to do it. Not every year, because they change coordinators every year. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But more often than not, when they've given him an assignment to work on something specific and get better, he has aced it. If that happens, we're not having this conversation.
Great defense at his disposal. Did lose his #1 overall wide receiver to New England. Another new offensive coordinator. What does it look like in Philly if we're having serious conversations late in the year in which maybe they are going to be moving on from them? How bad does it have to get?
I don't think they will have those conversations because if you look back at the struggles, that's what we're looking at Jalen Hurts through the context of what we saw from this offense last year. They were stale. They did nothing pre-snap to stress the defense. They were 29th in pre-snap motion. They never went under center. Not saying you have to live in that, but that helps out the run game. That helps out play action. They attacked almost exclusively the perimeter. They were not a middle-of-the-field type passing attack. This offense is going to allow Hurts to actually stress the defense. To not just line up and go, well, I hope AJ wins or Devontae wins.
Let's go back to a little history, right? Like me and Jay Raj was at SEC Network. This dude got benched in the national championship. All right, came back the next year, supported his teammate, went to Oklahoma, got better under Lincoln Riley, was a Heisman candidate, took his team deep in the playoffs, came into Philly. And everybody, when he got drafted, was like, what the hell is Philly drafting Jalen Hurts for, coming off the Carson Wentz thing? Obviously, we know what went down with Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts comes into Philly with no expectation at all. I don't care what anybody says. They didn't see this coming from 100,000 miles away. Of his productivity, the way he's been playing there in Philly. Howie has done a phenomenal job surrounding him with pieces. The defense has been good. But I don't care. Just like I said about C.J. Stroud, it's going to come back to the quarterback. What I know about Jalen Hurts is this. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one, and is a Super Bowl MVP in the span of 5 years. And we've had conversations all summer about, well, Philly probably about to get rid of the quarterback. What?
You feel that this is all unfair?
I think every part of it is unfair. He's had 6 offensive coordinators and been to 2 Super Bowls and won the Super Bowl MVP. With 6 of them.
There are guys in the league that are head coaches now, in part because of Jalen Hurts. There's no question. Look, there's no question about this young man being made of the right stuff. We've seen it. We've seen him go through adversity and come out there. I don't think this is adversity, but he's clearly been given an assignment here. Everybody knows what they want him to do better. I believe he can do it. If he does, then this converstion looks silly in a year.
There's another big component here, which is their offensive line. Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson all missed a lot of time last year. And Sal Paolantonio made this point a couple days ago. When Lane Johnson plays, they win at a 66% rate. When he doesn't, they're under 500. So obviously, it is about the quarterback, but those 3 offensive linemen are hugely consequential to how good they're going to be this year if they can play 17 games.
We've had a lot of camp scuffles. Do we need to make sure that you
guys not going to be any?
You're not going to be the one breaking it up.
0%.
I'm not mad at Grouse. I'm just mad at the narrative, man. I'm mad at the narrative because in the NFL, we look for guys that do this. We look for guys that can go to 2 Super Bowls and win you one.
And we're criticizing him more than we are Justin Herbert for never winning a playoff
Isn't
game.
a little bit of it fair when you go back and look at that wild card game against the Niners and you realize that game was there for the taking and that offense couldn't move the ball at all before a final drive led by Hurts ended in a turnover which could have won the game?
We're going to find out, right? If the reason they weren't throwing over the middle of the field is because he doesn't want to or he doesn't think he can, then that's going to be a problem.
That's a problem.
If it's because they weren't asking him to do it and he can, then it's going to look great.
And again, the definition of a quarterback is elevate those around you. Can he elevate
and see
Dontavius Wicks and those other
receivers? What you two just said is that's the fair part of the conversation.
Yes.
The overall arching, he ain't good enough, and we don't know. That is awful. Now, to your point, Graz, what you just said matters. If he can't get better, that's the job of NFL football players, especially at quarterback. Get better at what you don't do well over time so we can advance that part of your game. If he unwilling to do that, that's absolutely warranted for them to be thinking about somebody else. But this conversation about can we win with him and is he good enough?
But you can win with him.
Okay, come here.
All right. Look.
I want you to take a look. I got something special for you. I think this is going to make you feel a little bit better. Okay? Meanwhile, on planet Earth, Cowboys offensive coordinator Clayton Adams had an interesting request for the team's snack room.
Okay. All right.
Take a listen.
All right.